What is up, everyone? Eric with 17 Shard here, and I have a video that I'm really excited about, a little different, because today we have Stormlight 5 Update 1, which Brandon posted on the Stormlight Archive Reddit. I love Brandon's updates. They are so good. I distinctly remember, like, during Rhythm of War times, when he posted, like, a spreadsheet of, like, the structure of the book, and, like, different bars corresponded to different plot lines, and we were just piecing it apart. And man, those are such good times. These are always a pleasure. We are in an amazing fandom with Brandon, who just updates us all the time on how things are going, including with his weekly updates. But these are the ones that are real spicy. So first we see this incredible concept art by Randy Vargas. Brandon did comment that this glow, this is just a thing that Randy did. That's before Brandon started writing the book. So this is just like Kaladin and Szeth and Shinovar. We're going to talk about previous Stormlight stuff. I won't talk about other Cosmere things, but just Stormlight here. But yeah, one of the plot lines is Kaladin and Szeth, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So let's get on into this. I know some of you may have been waiting for this. It's the first in a series of updates about your book. I wanted to wait until I'd made good progress this month before I stopped to write one of these updates, and I do apologize for leaving you in the dark for so long. Brandon, you're so adorable. Look, we are in such a nice fandom where we get such regular updates. Certainly, Stormlight progress has been slow, which is, I think, what Brandon's referring to here. But still, it's so nice to see. Let's get the obvious questions out of the way. Do I have a title yet? No. I'm still thinking. I'd like it to fit the format of KOWT or KOW. Wow, I'm not used to saying those out loud. It's like, I still, instead of Rhythm of War, like, I'll sometimes say Oathbringer, just because I'm still in 2017 mode sometimes. But I don't like most of the options that have presented themselves. It requires more thought. So Brandon did talk about this, that he said if he can't find something that fits this naming scheme to sort of mirror Way of Kings, like a Kedek kind of, then he'll do something else. So I think that's a great idea. But I want the title to be really good, because Stormlight 5 is a really important book, right? When will the book come out? I'm looking at fall 2024. I've tried to be very forthcoming about this one, warning people for a while that 2023 might be too optimistic. And as I fear, I've been forced to let the date slide quite far into 2024 because of 3 issues. The first is that I set myself up for a ton of revisions this year with the Secret projects, and Defiant as well. And they've been taking more time than expected, as revisions always do. I still have 2 books to revise, though I've been spending all of August on Stormlight. Brandon has talked about this many times. This is the first time that he's saying fall 2024 rather than just 2024. So makes sense. I would expect a November release to correspond with, whatever the Dragonsteel Con is. That makes sense, right? However, that isn't the primary reason I ended up pushing the book back. I planned for these revisions and could have done those while working on Stormlight. The second reason I pushed the book back is that I knew this book, of all the ones in the sequence, deserved a little extra time and attention. It will likely be the longest of the series to date, and I have to be careful to juggle all the storylines properly. I didn't want to be rushed on it, and though it may shock you, an 18-month production cycle wasn't going to cut it. I mean, just think about George R. R. Martin cranking out one of these in 18 months, these massive books. Brandon's still, like, really productive here, and the longest of the series to date. Will we finally get 500,000 word long book? That would be very foreign. We got to get it really close there, Brandon. Let's make it happen. The third reason is one I haven't been able to gauge as easily as the first 2. Something new to my life. Lately, I've needed to dedicate more and more of my time to running a company. I still reserve 3 days a week solely for writing, but that's down from 4 days a week in previous years. The meetings take 2 forms. The first is meetings with my team. Things like reviewing the production of secret projects and leatherbounds to make sure things look and feel right. Others involve deep dives into concept art for characters and settings, so that when we create products like the upcoming Stormlight minis, they can fit with canon versions of the characters. This is something I resisted for a while, feeling like it was all right if different artists interpreted singers, for example, differently. More and more, though, Isaac and I felt we should have specific canon examples for continuity. That is really cool and really interesting with adaptation stuff, which is going to be some of that as well here. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I would expect adaptations to not fit these canon versions as perfectly, but that's fine. Brandon has often said, hey, you're sort of the director when you're reading a story, which is why there's not really canon pronunciations. I know that might be controversial, but there's not really canon pronunciations of names, though they have to come up with something so Michael and Kate can, get them to be as consistent as possible. So that makes a lot of sense, but yeah, I can see how a canon version is pretty important. Other meetings are editorial related or publicity related. Dragonsteel's kind of grown up the last few years, and I want to do it right. That means being involved as long as it doesn't impact my time too much. But all of that needs to be balanced with the numerous film and TV meetings that have been happening lately. Again, I want to do this right, which means being deeply involved in the projects that are moving forward. Announcements should be coming in the near future. Ooh. I think some people, specifically Veronica on the Shard, has said, New York Comic Con, that's early October. That could be really good. And I think that's really plausible. So that takes a lot of time. And so that free time that Brandon had during COVID to write the secret projects that he got from, not traveling, eaten up by a lot of these. Still finding the right balance, but this last month has seen a lot of good progress on Stormlight. I'm sitting at 65,000 words as of this writing, roughly 16% if we assume a 400,000 word final book, though this one will, as I said, likely be longer than that. So that 16% might be more like 15%. So I just did some arithmetic. It doesn't seem like 16% to 15% would be that much of a big deal, but just doing the percents out, if 65,000 words is 15% of the book, then that would mean the entire book is 433,000 words. That is not nothing, right? Unfortunately, progress is going slow again, as I have a couple other deadlines due. My goal right now is to do the last revisions of Defiant and Secret Project 4 in rapid succession in September and October, and be back to Stormlight in November. And so now he's going to go into some spoilers. This is the Shard channel. We're going to talk about spoilers for Stormlight 5. That's what you're here for. So let's take a look. I'm going to write this book in phases, straight from beginning to end through several character groupings. That makes sense. That is how Brandon writes these Stormlight books. Typically, I remember for Oathbringer, he wrote down our flashbacks first, right? So Brandon really likes doing that, so then he can sort of get the character feel for an entire arc all completely done. And then once he gets all the plot lines together, he'll move chapters around and balance those viewpoints out. So for example, the first sequence I'm writing is Szeth and Kaladin in Shinovar, including the Szeth flashbacks. I plan to write all of their plot from start to finish before moving on to the next sequence of characters. Ooh, I'm so excited! All of that 65K so far, except the prologue, has been on this plotline, and I'm loving how it's shaping up. I know the Szeth backstory has been a long time coming. I hope it lives up to your expectations. There are some interesting lore secrets here to reveal, and the climax is something I've been building to since book 1. Indeed, you'll find death rattles from the first volume referencing the events in this sequence. I plotted this sequence at 100K. It's looking a lot more like 150K now that I'm neck deep in it. The picture is related. This is very interesting considering Brandon's there might not be the glow there. So, interesting. We do have hints that there are unmade in Shinovar though. So this is It is very reasonable for Randy to have something like that, right? Now, just so you know, I looked at the Coppermine statistical analysis where you can look at all the word counts and how many words each character had and everything. Kaladin in Rhythm of War was 98,000 words. I should probably get this specifically up rather than just going off memory, huh? Okay. So Kaladin was 98,000 words. Nice. I'm very bright here. And Navani was 84,000. So like 180,000 words for like that core Urithiru plotline. And 150K, that's a lot of the book. So that's almost like the entire Urithiru plotline in Rhythm of War. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And remember, Dalinar's going to have a big arc. There wasn't less Dalinar in book 4, but Brandon always said book 5 was originally going to be Dalinar's book until he decided it worked better for Oathbringer. And Dalinar is going to get some big stuff going on. Man, I'm trying to just spitball here about lore secrets and the climax I'm building to since book 1. Because I feel like a lot of us, we get into the champion discussion a lot, right? Like we talk about, oh yeah, what's going on with a champion? And the champion, that's in Urithiru, right? Like we're going to be at the top with Urithiru. Dalinar's like, yo, I'm going to do that. That's an exact quote from Rhythm of War. Hey, this is really cool how this climax in Shinovar is going to be something really big that he's been building to since book 1. Brandon's also said like long ago during the Rhythm of War updates that Rhythm of War he was more designing to sort of feel like Way of Kings, where the climaxes were sort of split up, and Stormlight 5 was always going to be more like Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. And I love me a killer Sanderlanche, so I'm really interested how like the plotline in Shinovar is going to like intersperse with the other plotlines, presumably some Urithiru plotline and whatever Shallan and Adolin are doing, I guess, finding Palamishram. I don't know. So that seems reasonable, but like, how's this going to come together? I'm so curious. But man, if Brandon's been thinking about Stormlight 5 ending for a while, Brandon, endings are so good, and I think this one's going to be really killer. Cool, let's grind through the rest of this. I know that 4 years is a long time to wait for a novel, and it's been my goal in the past to keep that to 3 years. My intention is that once this is done, we'll have another longer than normal gap as I turn my attention to Mistborn Era 3 and hopefully the Elantris sequels before diving in to do the back 5 Stormlight books. From there, I'm hoping to return to a 3-year gap between books until we push to the ending at book 10. A long journey, I know, but you'll almost certainly have TV and film projects in the interim to keep you occupied alongside the other things I do. Ooh, I feel like we're getting an announcement really soon. Like, contracts are like done, maybe? Ooh, that's spicy. And I continue to feel that Stormlight works best in ultra long form novels rather than the far more profitable option my publisher would prefer of one shorter 100K Stormlight book every year. The experience of the thick book full of interconnected plot lines and smaller interlude flourishes is part of what makes the artistic vision work for these volumes. Thank you for your patience. My job is to make sure it's all worth the wait, and I'm striving each day to show respect for the trust you've put in me. Next update should come around the end of the year, where I'll let you know how my November-December went. With luck, I'll have managed another 70K or so across 2 months, landing us at 130K, which might be the end of the first sequence. So this is the Kaladin Zeth show for now, but wow, that really puts it in perspective. That's like 2 months. All right, 70,000 words. Note like Alloy of Law is like 100,000 words. So this is why the publisher would prefer, shorter 100K Stormlight books. But, I love Oathbringer because it has all those interconnected bits, and like Oathbringer just wouldn't be good if you didn't get to the Battle of Thalen Field, right? Like that would just not be a good book, right? So I totally agree. And honestly, 430K is not enough for this book. We got to get to an even 500,000 words, Brandon. That would be so good. What if you could make it exactly? That would be so dumb and wouldn't happen because lines change. when we get closer, but wouldn't that be funny? I think that'd be pretty funny. Cool. So that is the Stormlight update. God, I have just lore secrets to reveal. Like, let's spitball on this a little more, right? Because what lore secrets to reveal? Like, again, what is going on with Zeth's backstory, the Stone Shamans? All of that stuff has been so mysterious for so long. So there's going to be that, like with things about honor blades and heralds. There's an unmade there. Goodness, man. I think it's so easy to just think about the champion, though, right? And like how that's going to go. Where this book, it has so much to do. We got Bottomishram, we got champion, we got whatever's going on in Shinovar. Somehow getting that all together. Like, oh boy. Because we gotta figure out so many of these things. So, man, the best thing about Stormlight is that like each book's like mysteries and things that I didn't quite think about before, and we keep getting new things all the time, and that is some really good stuff. Okay, so I wanted to go through a few of Brandon's Reddit comments while I'm here going through this. Someone asked, do you think you'll do the Warbreaker sequel if it becomes before Stormlight 6 or 10 or after? And Brandon says, I'm not promising this one. I'm going to have to stretch to do Elantris 2 and 3, and they come first. Brandon's often talked about Elantris 2 and 3. Like, sometimes he's talked about, like, alternating Era 3 and Elantris sequels, and sometimes he's like, I'm just going to do Era 3 straight through. So who knows how that's eventually going to turn out. I'm a little worried about Brandon's time being spent on adaptations when he's got to be writing other stuff. But hey. Over here, we had someone ask, what's the glow over here, presumably? And Brandon says, full disclosure, the final book might not have a specific glow to it. I told Randy some kind of darkness creeping across the land, visualized in an interesting way, which totally makes sense for Shinovar, right? This is what he came up with, but this was done before I wrote the sequence, and so it's only taken as concept art, not illustrative art, if that makes sense. Neat! And last but not least, but this is pretty cool, Phrase Temporary 3481 asks, one thing I'd really love is Stormlight Archive board game. I would love a board game centered around perhaps the unification of Alethkar, or perhaps a desolation game so as to have a clear beginning and end, with maybe a little bit of mechanical carryover between the games, in Oath, to represent the passing of time between desolations. Some other sort of people on a map game. And Brandon says, this is on our radar. In fact, I plan to post before too much longer a kind of outline of Kickstarters we're planning to do over the next few years, as I don't want to overload people with them. That's a good call. Like, you don't want 5 Brandon Kickstarters in a year. It's already kind of a lot with the secret projects. We're going to have the Words of Radiance Kickstarter, and we had the White's Hand Omnibus, so kind of a lot. I can't promise on timing, but I suspect we'll be doing a pen and paper RPG and a board game for Stormlight over the next 5 years. And I would dig that. How great. So pen and paper and a board game, I think that would really satisfy both camps. I know the Diceborn crew that we have on the channel doing our Mistborn adventure gameplay. It's like Stormlight is so good for that. And so, of course, they want to do a Stormlight thing. So a pen and paper RPG would be sweet. And a board game of like bridge runs or like desolations and things and fighting, all that. Like you know, when Dalinar and Shallan created the whole map of the whole of Roshar, like that's just such rich, like wargaming type stuff. And oh man, that would be so good. Awesome. Well, that is all I got for this one. Let me know what you think about this kind of video. I was just really excited about hearing about Kaladin and Szeth and how this is like, yeah, so it's, this is what Brandon sounds like. Yeah, this is 50,000 more words than I expected it to be. You get what you get. It's like, nice. That's a spot on Brandon impression right there. Okay, I gotta get out of here. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of Stormlight 5. And are you excited? I would sure love the book now, but hey, what are you gonna do? Also, hilarious. Still 14% here, even though it's potentially 16% now. Just to be clear, a percent is 4,000 words, which is not nothing. So it's still pretty meaty. All right, everyone. I'll see you all next time.